Good morning. I am on my way to the Aria, or technically the PokerGO Studio, which is right next to the Aria, to play a 5K Pot Limit Omaha tournament. PokerGO putting on a PokerGO Tour PLO series, which is going to be 8 events, starting with this 5K PLO and culminating in a 25K Pot Limit Omaha tournament, which I'm very excited about. So many of you may know I've been playing for the last several years against very, very tough opponents online at Heads Up PLO. But today I'm going to be playing tough opponents at live full ring. Actually, I don't even know if it's 7 or 8 handed. I imagine one of those, which is much different. I haven't played this format with the exception of a tournament or two last summer. I haven't played this format seriously in years. It'll be interesting to see how I do applying the concepts that I've learned online playing Heads Up to 6 max. And the reason I want to start early in the series playing this 5K is that I want to get some practice in before the main event, which is a week from today. So this is a 5K entry. This tournament has, I believe, 2 re-entries allowed. It's starting at noon. You can re-enter until 4:30 p.m. I am hoping to be on time. We're cutting the cliffs. I read on Twitter today that they expect this to be the biggest event in the PokerGO Studios to date, and I would not be surprised at all. Almost there. And I guess I'll see you inside. All right, so I started the tournament with 125,000 chips, and I'm up to about 150. We started at 501K blinds. We're up to 1K, 2K, which is just the 3rd level. Joni opens to 6K under the gun, and I call on the button with ace, queen, 4 deuce, double suited, clubs and spades. Big blind comes along as well, and the flop is king, jack, 4 rainbow. I have 2 backdoor flush draws. Big blind checks. Joni bets 7K into about 20K. I call, big blind folds. Now, this is an interesting spot because when Joni opens under the gun, I believe we're 8-handed at this point, so he's got a strong range. When I call on the button, I have a pretty strong range. This is actually a hand I probably should not call. This is a flop on which I could see him doing a lot of checking. And so I don't know what to make of his bet. I'm trying to decide whether I think that means he's weaker or stronger. And in the moment, I decide he's got a lot of hands that would like to put 1 bet in but not get raised. So hands like ace, ace, 10, hands like king, queen, 10, or ace, queen, 10. So while I could, if I want to make a really strong read like that, raise the flop, my hand is pretty weak. I have bottom pair, I have 2 backdoor flush draws. And I think that, whenever you want to attack or rep a strong range, you don't need to attack right away. So I just call with my hand. I have good pot odds, and big blind folds, and we head to the turn. Turn is the 3 of diamonds, bringing a backdoor flush draw that I do not have, the only one I don't have. Gives me a double gut shot, and I still have the 1 weak pair, and he checks to me. And you might think, well, I have bottom pair, but I have a lot of 2 pair outs. I have some trips outs. I have 2 gut shots, once the nuts. 1 is to the 2nd nuts, but he's not going to have a lot of 6, 7, and 1's to the 3rd nuts, but he's not going to have a lot of 6 deuce. He's not going to have a ton of 6, 7. I could just check and realize my equity, but the problem is this is a spot where my range has so much strength when I've called an under the gun raise and I've called a flop bet, and I've decided that I think he does not have a hand that's check raising here most of the time. So I've kind of made a read in the moment, and in order to capitalize on that, I think I have to bet now. Now, the pot at this point is 35K. Stacks are, 130, 140. So I could feasibly get check raised here, and that is a risk. But all of my hands are going to have decent equity here. I don't have bluffs that don't have much equity. So that's always going to be a risk. So I don't let that deter me. I go ahead and bet. And I bet small. I bet 17K, which is about half pot. I don't think I need to pot here. It's a spot, especially in a tournament, where using a lot of smaller sizings can work. And I don't think that I am not credibly repping what I'm trying to rep. I would bet smaller with a lot of top set. I would bet smaller with a lot of king jack and other hands that want to put money in. So the sizing is not out of the ordinary for me. If we were playing a cash game and we were very deep I tend to split sizings here between half pot and full pot, and maybe I would do that here as well, but this is not an out of the ordinary bet size for me. So I bet 17K, he calls. River is an offsuit jack, so pairs the board. Not amazing because I'm not going to have a lot of jack X. He might have some, ace queen, jack 10 type hands that would play this way. But I do still have king jack. I do still have king king. I think he's going to have some like ace ace queen that turned diamonds, or did not turn diamonds, but maybe turned another gut shot like I did, and called. But I think I'm repping so much strength at this point that I have a very clear bluff. It's possible that I have the best hand with a 4, but really unlikely. But anyways, I pot, which was about 70K. And he folded pretty quickly, so I think he had a pretty weak hand. Probably stronger than mine, but happy to take it down nevertheless. This next hand I have about 225,000, and I'm in the big blind with ace, king, queen, deuce with 3 clubs. Blinds are 15, 3, 3. A tight player on the button pots, and I call with my ace, king, queen, deuce. It's not very thrilling, but I think button versus big blind I have to. Flop is ace 6-6 rainbow, very good board for me. It goes check check, and turn gets even better. It's an ace, bringing 2 spades, which I don't have. Pot is a little bit over 25K here. I lead 18K on the turn. I mean, I don't have a ton of hands that I want to lead, but when I do, I want to bet pretty big. I think some weaker ace X hands I should check here to check call and protect my range, etc., etc. Not bloat the pot against better ace X, but ace king, most ace king I think goes in my betting range. So I bet 18K, he calls. River's an offsuit 7, and there's a little over 60K in the pot. I decide to bet 28K, which I think is okay. I think my hand in theory wants to pot, but I just felt like he would read a pot as too strong in this spot and might even hero fold. He'd played really tight pre-flop, and the couple of times he had he'd limp called pre-flop a couple of times with aces, and I think even raise called with aces once. So I didn't know much about him, but he struck me as a player that could make a hero fold if I'm putting a ton of chips into the pot. So I just bet half pot roughly, and he folds, and I take down a little one before we head into break.
All right, we're on the first break. I've snuck over to some corner of Aria because I'm too uncomfortable to be filming myself in front of all the poker players. I'm getting like the red carpet treatment here. Everybody's greeting me. People I haven't seen in a while, staff at Aria who haven't seen in a while. They're excited to see me. I'm excited to see them too. And somebody at the PokerGO Studio had a gift bag for me and the family, and there's a lot of people talking to me. I just kind of forgot that I'm as known as I am as a poker player because I'm not a celebrity in my house, and that's where I spend 99% of my time. Or it was a little bit of a shell shock just the first 20 minutes here, just kind of getting bombarded. But now I remember it should be good, and I can focus on playing poker, which is really fun. PLO is an awesome game. The field is seemingly very good. It's very big. We're at capacity, I think. PokerGO Studios only seats 104, and we're over 104, so I believe there's a wait list right now. There are a lot of people I don't recognize, which is usually a good sign for 5K plus buy-in tournament. Although, to be fair, I'm a little bit out of the live poker and live PLO loop. I've been not confused, but uncertain a lot during these hands. It's just so different from what I've been playing. I think I made one small mistake, but otherwise I feel like I played pretty well. So I'm gonna get back in there. I'm at 175K from 125K starting. Got another 2.5 hours of rebuys, so I can re-enter twice if I happen to lose that. The blinds are going up pretty fast. It's a good fast structure, so chips are gonna get in, and we'll hope for the best.
About 5 hours in, we're out of the re-entry period, which I left with 350K off of my first bullet, 125K starting stack. So things are going reasonably well. I kind of expected to rebuy many times just because it's PLO. 2,500 5K blinds. I open in the hijack. I've been playing relatively loose. I open the hijack here with a pretty good hand, ace, queen, jack 10, single suited, and get 3-bet by the cutoff, who's sitting on about 200K. He makes it 52.5K, which is pot, and is folded back to me. I didn't think he had a particularly tight range. I didn't think he had a very loose range either, but this wasn't a spot where I would consider folding ace, queen, jack 10. So I call, and we head to a flop. The flop is ace 9-6, spade, spade, diamond. I have backdoor diamonds. I'm going to check range on this board, so I check. He pots for about 110K, and he has about 30K behind that, and I think I have no choice but to rip the rest in. So I go all in. He calls, and he has ace, king, king, 4, rainbow, so he is ahead, but I have some outs. The turn is an offsuit deuce, and river is an offsuit 9, and I lose that pot. So I go for my 350K stack back down near starting at about 150K. All right, so I'm down to 120K here. I just lost antes and blinds here and there. And I decided to limp under the gun with king, king, 8-5 with hearts at 3K, 6K. I think this is okay. I kind of just didn't want to raise fold, and I felt like an under the gun limp would not get a lot of action. So I thought this would work out better. So I limp, everybody folds to the blinds, small blind completes, big blind checks, and we head to the flop of 8-5-3 with 2 spades. Big blind leads 15K into a pot of 24K. I have about 115K, so I pot to 70K with about 45 behind. And small blind folds, big blind, who had been pretty loose, so I was expecting a lot of folds actually, rips it in. I call and see the bad news, which is that he has 3-3-4-5 for bottom sets. I've got my 8s and my remaining 5 to hit, as well as my kings. And actually, I do turn the king right away, and offsuit deuce on the river, and I win the pot. And at this point now I'm up to 250K and feeling okay. In this next hand, under the gun limps, we're at 3K, 6K still. I limp behind on the button with ace 9-8-7 nut clubs and big blind checks. The flop is ace 7-5 with 2 diamonds. Check from the big blind. Under the gun bets 12K. I jam. He's got about 90K. I jam. Big blind folds. He goes all in. He has ace queen jack 5 with diamonds. So we're roughly flipping. Turn is an offsuit 10, and river is the 6 of diamonds. So I lose to the flush, and I'm now down to 120K. So in this next hand, we're up to 4K, 8K, and I get moved. My table breaks, and I was on a table with a lot of short stacks, basically, and I moved to a table with massive stacks. And when there are massive stacks, you have some good opportunities as a short stack, even though there's not a lot of play left, but you can hope that they fold each other out, and that's kind of what I was hoping in this hand. So I'm on the button with ace of hearts, 9-8-5, all spades, and I decided to pot to 28K. Thinking that, you know, I block an ace, I have a lot of fold equity. These 2 stacks in the blinds are really deep. They have to worry about each other. I just think I'm going to take it down a lot. And remember that, you know, with the big blind ante, there's blinds are 4K, 8K, that's 12K. There's another 8K in the middle. That's 20K out there to steal for 28K. And if you get called, you still have a lot of equity. So I think I like the button open. Small blind calls and big blind repots, and they're both pretty deep. Small blind's Chino Ream. I forget who the big blind was. I can essentially call and leave myself 18K behind. I can call for 112K, leave 18K behind, or I can fold. And both of these players have like over $1 million. And so I'm thinking if I call here and Chino calls, there's going to be, you know, 350K in the pot. And it's very likely that one of the other 2 players folds the other one out. And then I have, you know, essentially 3-1 on a call with a hand that's not great, but is going to be doing okay enough for those pot odds. And if Chino does fold, you know, I'm basically calling with 2-1. I need 33% equity. And I think I have that against a range, unless it's, you know, exclusively aces. But even then, it's pretty close. So I call, Chino folds. I see a pretty ugly flop of queen, jack, 6, all hearts. I have the nut flush blocker, but it's not very helpful. Big blind jams. I mean, I have a gut shot, and the thing about PLO is when you're up against one pair, you have lots of backdoor trips and 2-pair draws. I have the backdoor straight draw, so I think I have a very easy call of, you know, 18 into a pot of 250K. I call. He has ace, king, jack, 7, which is a pretty bad hand for me to be up against because I'm beat and the 10 is no good. Turn is a 5, giving me some hope, but the river is a 10. We both hit a straight, and that is GG for me.
I actually had a ton of fun. It was, I don't know, the environment of this PokerGO 5K PLO tournament was a lot more lighthearted than, your average, let's say, 10K no limit hold'em tournament at the World Series, even though those were generally on the softer side compared to other tournament fields. But like, it was just a very laid back environment. I didn't see somebody use a time bank the entire time, which is pretty crazy. I felt really good, actually, about the way I played today. Basically, I think you don't get involved in that many pots, but I probably bluffed river 4 times and every time worked. And I probably value bet the river like 8 times and got called 6. So people were almost always making the wrong decision against me. And I think I often made pretty good decisions. My calling decisions, I don't think I was ever wrong there, but I also just didn't have many opportunities. I was usually the one betting, just how it worked out. So yeah, feeling pretty confident going into the rest of the week. I knew there would be rust to shake off, and I'm definitely uncomfortable pre-flop. I don't really know what to do, but I felt good about my reads. I felt good about figuring out what people had, even when I wasn't in the hand, which is something I don't often do. I often fail to pay attention, but I did a good job there. So all in all, happy with my play, which is the most important thing, or tied for the most important thing, the other one being winning money, which I did not do.